Good morning. Welcome to the banks of the Red Cedar here in East Lansing, albeit virtually. We're so excited to have everyone with us today for this very, very special announcement. Um, as I've thought about this over the last several days, some words from Maya Angelou came to mind that people often won't remember what you say or perhaps even what you do, but they will remember how you make them feel. And it caused me to think back to a day a little over 20 years ago on a warm spring night in Indianapolis when my wife and I were honored to be literally in the top row of the stadium. Uh, Given that I was in a different position at the time, my seats were in air that was a little thinner, but I was just so thrilled to be in the building. And that night, Coach Izzo, Matt and their team won a national championship. Matt was deemed by his colleagues to be his teammates at that time to be the most inspirational player on the team, and that certainly was an extraordinarily inspirational moment for me. I remember sitting there in that top row, or actually probably standing, screaming and yelling in that top row. And as one shining moment came on, the chills that just went down my spine. And yet, as emotional as that moment was, sometimes it takes days, weeks, perhaps even months to understand the enormity of the experience. And of course, that's really what we've been feeling this week. Though chills have run up and down my spine over the last week as we've been working to finalize this gift, I suspect that it'll be weeks, months, and even years before we truly appreciate the enormity of what Matt has done for Michigan State University. He was an inspiration to his teammates in 2000. He remains an inspiration to all of us here in East Lansing to this day. So Matt, thank you for your extraordinary gift. And we will work very, very hard, tirelessly to take that investment and use it to the great benefit of our 700 plus student athletes here in East Lansing. On their behalf, we thank you. And it's now my great honor to introduce a great friend of MSU athletics and our 21st president, Dr. Samuel Stanley.
Well, thank you, Bill. The weather is pretty dismal in East Lansing today, but I think nothing could diminish the joy and excitement in Spartan Nation created by yesterday's gift announcement and the timing of this remarkable investment by Matt Ishbia in Michigan State University. His look towards the future in the midst of this pandemic winter and difficult economic environment, well, that timing could not be better. Of course, Matt attended MSU before I arrived in 2019, and I've had the chance to chat with him. And I took away from those conversations his love for his alma mater, grounded in his experience as a student athlete, how he bonded with his teammates, and his deep respect and affection for Coach Izzo. We're extremely grateful that Matt's extraordinary business acumen and success with United Wholesale Mortgage gave him the opportunity to give back so generously to a place that changed his life. That's how we hope all our students and student athletes feel about their time at Michigan State University, that their experience was life-changing and that we help them set them on the path towards success. Matt's generosity will have an impact on all Spartan student athletes through improvement of our facilities and also through the creation of the Career Leadership Fund, Spartans for Life, that his gift is establishing. I know we say it often, but I still want to emphasize that our student athletes are students first. Few will make sports their career, but the discipline and commitment needed to succeed in athletics can transfer to the classroom and the boardroom, and it often does. So we expect when all of our students graduate from MSU that they will bring an added dimension of experience and commitment to their lives, families, careers, and communities. It's part of what makes us Spartans. Matt is the perfect example of that. His business studies and athletic activities clearly contributed to the knowledge, skills, and drive that he brings to the business world and beyond. So Matt, We are truly grateful for the transformative effect your gift will have on Michigan State University. On behalf of the university, thank you so very much. I'd also like to thank Athletic Director Bill Beekman, coaches Tom Izzo and Mel Tucker, our VP of Advancement Marty Heil, Executive Director of Principal Gifts Melissa Burke, and our General Counsel Brian Quinn for working with Matt on his team to help make this happen. And now I'd like to conclude with a very special thanks to Emeritus Trustee Brian Masalam, who really shepherded this project. Early in my tenure here, Brian introduced me to Matt, and I can't thank Brian enough for his role in helping to make this extraordinary gift possible. I know how much Brian loves MSU, and I appreciate his perspective as a former MSU student athlete. Thank you, Brian, for your help and service to Michigan State University. And with that, I invite Brian to the podium for his remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Although having emeritus status as a trustee, I played here, which is, I was born and raised here. So this place will always have a special place in my heart. That's why this donation is so special. You know, Matt Ish is the type of guy who doesn't need credit. He doesn't need you to heap praise upon him. His humility and the way he carries his life daily really is a testament to his parents and the way he was raised. It's just, he's one of the most remarkable human beings that I know, and just a great person, you know, and a lot of that stems from the way he was raised. And his parents have raised two outstanding children. This was an interesting process getting here. You know, it took a lot of work to get here. Given all the complexities of so many other people and pieces involved. But, you know, because of his love for Michigan State, because of his love for Tom Izzo, because of his love for his parents, you know, we ended up at this place. We would not be here today if it weren't for his parents and if it weren't for Tom Izzo. To him, Tom Izzo means the world. And if not for Tom Izzo, you know, we would not be standing here today. So, you know, the impact that coach has had on so many lives, even me. I mean, as a former trustee, when he would call me, I'd shiver. But I really want to thank A.D. Beekman. I think, you know, Bill Beekman did a remarkable job during this whole process. Bill laid out a vision. He laid out a plan. He had tremendous ideas, and he showed Matt what the future holds for this university. I think, you know, A.D. Beekman deserves a ton of credit for what has transpired, as well as the other team. But Matt got really comfortable with Bill. He found Bill to be very trustworthy, very honest, very humble. You know, I trust Bill. I've worked with Bill for 8 years when he was our board secretary. And I think, you know, Matt's comfort level with Bill and the vision that he had for this university got us over the hump. So I really can't credit Bill Beekman enough. So anyway, it's great to be here today. It's great to speak to our fellow Spartans, and it's a great day to be a Spartan. And with that, without further ado, I would like to introduce the man that I was responsible for, partly responsible for bringing on campus, who I believe will bring championships back to our football program, and who will take us to the next level is Coach Mel Tucker. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate those kind words. And thank you everyone for joining us here on this historic day. Matt, I truly cannot thank you enough for your kindness and generosity. I'm extremely humbled by your support and giving back to a place that means so much to all of us. Your gift will make a profound impact on our program and is a statement that Michigan State is relentless about excellence, both on and off the field, and our pursuit of championships. Recruits and student athletes are comparing our campus and our facilities to the other top programs in the country. Thanks to Matt's vision and beliefs in Michigan State athletics, we will have a state-of-the-art football facility that will be among the best in the country. And we're incredibly excited to unveil these upgrades in the very near future. The improvements will greatly enhance the efficiency of our daily operations, and the new building in nutrition will be a tremendous resource to our players. When a recruit walks in the doors of our football building, they will know that they are at Michigan State. This building will reflect our culture and our values. I'm also excited that this gift will help out in many other ways, including the Spartan Life Fund, which will help student athletes with their career goals and help them with employment after graduation. This is a visionary fund that will have long-lasting effects on everyone in our program. Coach Izzo, he means a lot to all of us, and certainly to Matt, as demonstrated by this historic gift. It will be an honor to have Tom Izzo's name associated with a building that will have such a major impact on our program, and will be a living testament to his values of grit, toughness, and passion, which is what this Spartan program is all about. I couldn't be more fired up for our program right now. And Matt, this gift is truly a difference maker, and we couldn't go where we want to be without you, without your leadership and your generosity. I'm looking forward to having you around our football building for years to come, to be a mentor and a resource for our players. Our goal is to create a family atmosphere, much like the one you had during your time here with Coach Izzo and your teammates, to create lifelong relationships and bonds with Michigan State. Thank you, and go green. At this time, and I'm still pinching myself every time I see his name, at this time I would like to introduce my good friend and someone who has proven to be a true leader for Michigan State University throughout his entire career. He is someone I can always count on for advice and leadership. We certainly would not be here today without him. I'm very pleased to introduce Hall of Fame basketball coach Tom Izzo.
Wow. From Bill to President Stanley, of course, Brian, who's had a lot to do with this, and Mel, and of course, Matt. I address all the media because this is not only a historic day, but a tear-jerking proud day for me. And I got some little known facts about Matt, because you know me, I'm not going to have a dull press conference. But through his first 2 years at Michigan State, our basketball program was 34-0 in every game he played. Up until the 2000 Final Four, when we got beat by Arizona, was the first game he played in that we lost. That prompted CBS's Bill Raftery, a good friend of mine, to tell me the story last week of how when Gene Katie walked up to him when he was doing the Purdue-Michigan State game, and Katie said to Raf, "Hey, tell your boy Izzo, don't play Ishbia. I want a chance to win this game." Well, that was a true story. And yet Matt did so much for us. He started on senior night because I try to start my seniors. And against Iowa, he hit a 3-pointer to almost start the game to give us a 5-2 lead. As Bill said, he was voted inspirational player. It's almost like our players knew ahead of time what was coming. I sure didn't at that time, to be very honest with you. I look at people and I say to my players all the time, you have to, some people like what they do, some people love what they do, and some people live what they do. It's been so much fun to watch Matt and listen to the stories that Mateen and other players that are employed by him have told me about his work ethic. It's 5:30 in the morning and, he's going in, and I went down there late in the summer. I guess it was a little earlier than that, before COVID. And, we just talked about the different things, and there were so many similarities. To be successful in business, be successful in sports, to be successful in anything, learning how to live what you do is very important, and yet keep balanced, which I'm not sure he's going to do very well in the next couple of years. And I didn't do very well in, but maybe between the two of us, we can help each other. His last year at Michigan State with me, we kind of talked about being a player coach. And so there were times he sat next to me on the bench, and I talked to him about things that are going on and about coaching points. How dumb was I, Matt? What I should have been doing is listening to you tell me about business, and I'd be probably a hell of a lot better off than I am. And I've got a great gig here. When I went down and spoke to his company about 10 years ago, they were a smaller company then. His dad, Jeff, and Matt took me a tour on this building, which now has been quadrupled. But at that time, I was going to speak to his employees. And when I went on that tour, I then went to a gathering outside that reminded me of a large pep rally. And I said, this is not supposed to happen in business. There were people fun, there were balloons, it was a party. And I just realized then that there were so many things that I think he tried to do to keep things interesting for people. And that's what we try to do here. I realized that day that this kid has a dream. I mean, he just kept talking about what he wanted to do. And I'll be honest with you, I looked at him then and said, are you crazy? I didn't say it to him, but I'm sure that's what a lot of people said to me, when I had my dream. I guess when you have a dream and you accomplish your dream, you kind of try to find people that remind you of what you went through. What amazed me is how he used his basketball experience and the things he did to create aspects of his company like coaches do to develop teams in a sport, whether it be Mel or I or any other coach. He then took it a step further. He started hiring some of his former teammates and some of his former Spartans that he knew. And I don't know if it was to bring the family atmosphere that is so important to me, but it was really interesting. He needed a quarterback then. Having players is great, but you need somebody. I always say a player-coach team is better than a coach-coach team. And I always gave Mateen a lot of credit, and they'd say, well, what did you do then? I said, I just asked Mateen what he wanted to do. And what did you do then? Well, I just told Mateen, do what you want to do. Now, I lied a little bit on that, but the truth of the matter is when you start hiring people, you create some unity in your company if they're people you trust and been through the wars with. He had been through the wars with the Charlie Bells and Antonios and of course, those early guys. And it kind of shows even to this day that he never forgot where he came from, which is maybe one of the greatest qualities anybody could have if you have success. He hired Connor George, one of my walk-ons, a year ago. That's called taking care of the people that helped you and understanding how everybody has to start someplace. Giving people opportunity, I think, is what, during this social injustice time, everybody deserves a chance. And if there's one thing I've learned going through it, it's that there's so many people that didn't have the same opportunities growing up. And if we can help create those opportunities, what we can do. Matt is doing that with numerous former Spartan players, managers, and probably a lot of other people that I don't know. Yesterday before practice, Matt, once it was announced, I went down and the first thing I told my team, because we had your picture up on our board a couple of weeks ago about a quote you had, as I try to do as motivational things. So I said, remember Matt Ishbia, guys? Yeah. I said, well, he gave a large amount of money. He gave back to the university, gave me too much credit. And he gave this place almost too much credit because we helped develop them. But you got to take the ball and run with it, as Mel knows so well. So I told my team, I said, I want you to look at 3 guys. I took Jack Hoiberg, who was a walk-on for me. I took Davis Smith, who's Steve Smith's son, is a walk-on for me. And I took Steven Izzo and I stood them all right there. And I put the team back and I said, take a look at those 3 walk-ons. And if you can predict which one of them 10 years from now or 20 years from now is going to give $35 million to beat Matt's walk-on total that he gave, let me know. And everybody laughed and it was a great thing. And, I looked at those guys and I said, one was my son. Steve Smith's done all right for himself. Jack Hoiberg's dad coached in the pros and, is the coach at Nebraska and has done all right for himself. And DJ yelled out, but you can't use any of your dad's money. It's got to be like Matt. It's got to be your earned money. I thought that was pretty funny. I've been blessed here. I really have. I get credit for doing things that it's amazing because I've been blessed. I've had so many great people. We've had guys that have given back. The building we're standing in, Magic Johnson, Steve Smith, and the Academic Center, Draymond Green, in our Strength and Conditioning Center. And now Matt Ishbia, who has done something, that's even a little different, that he's given to not only football and not only basketball and not only this job placement center that I think is going to be so incredibly good for our student athletes and for companies around the country that can bring in some good Michigan State people. But there are also guys like Gregory Kelser, and everybody does it a different way. What I'm proud about is Matt has given his money, but he's also spread the good word. He's talked about Spartans and he's hired Spartans and he hasn't just done it one way. When I get calls from Mateen or Jason Richardson, who was a good friend of Matt's, or Ellen Anderson or Derek Nix the other day, I can't tell you how it makes a coach feel, especially when you're struggling a little bit. But what's interesting about Matt's donation to me is this is a period of time with COVID and all the things that are going on in the country and people's jobs that aren't safe and everybody's going through different things. And that's when the true winners rise to the top. And for him to do that during this time, I think speaks even more volumes because nobody's doing great in our country right now. We're going through maybe one of the toughest things we've gone through in 100 years. And for him to say, you know what? Well, we're in our biggest need. I'm going to stand up the tallest. Tell some great things. Matt, let me close by saying your gift is going to help thousands of Spartans because it's not going to be just the kids that Mel recruits or I recruit or all the other sports. The job placement thing is going to help. But when you're an alum at a school like Michigan State, you live, eat, and sleep athletics. You really do. You got to be at the water cooler talking about your team's winning. I think of the Final Fours you were involved with. You were involved with, I think, 3 of them, weren't you? All 3 of them. That's incredible alone. There's not many schools that can say they went to 3 in a row. But I thought it was so cool with the job placement, as Mel said. Everybody wants to be a pro athlete. We all know that there's less than 1% of the people that come to our school that end up pros. But there's a big percent of people that end up getting a degree and using that to better their life with their jobs. I think you are going to be a role model for all the people that feel like the world ended when they quit playing and they think that, what am I going to do now? I'm going to be able to say, hey, just go be like Matt Ishbia. That's a tremendous thing you can tell people. So Matt, from all of us, thank you. I love you. I don't deserve the praise you've given me. You didn't get here because of what I did for you. You got here because of the job you took and did yourself. I love self-motivated people. I love people that aren't afraid of a challenge. Football, basketball, all these other sports, you covered them all, my man. You done good, as they say in the UP. I want to leave because I don't have much more to say. I don't want to leave because there are great moments in a person's life. And I've always said myself, how you treat people. I heard you telling our president that early. I try to treat all my players somewhat the same, like dogs, as you remember. But I love them all to death. And when they're done from here, I swear, I'll help them to the day I'm dead. Well, you've made me so proud of you. You made me proud of what you've done for many of our former players, former Michigan State graduates. And I just want to say that this will never be forgotten. And I'm hoping it'll inspire others to understand that getting something is great, but giving something, as I've learned with the small donations I've made, makes you feel good. The only way it makes you feel good if the people you gave to take advantage of the gift and promise you that we'll do everything we can to make you proud. I know for Mel and I, we're going to work diligently. And next time you come to a national championship game, it'll be as a billionaire instead of as that player that sit next to me that I thought I would help become a coach someday. So thanks, brother. We appreciate you. It's your turn to talk. People out there, embrace him. There aren't a lot of people that would do what he's done or the way he's done it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Coach, and everybody here today. I appreciate you guys being here with me. I'm honored to be here amongst, obviously, the president, the athletic director, Brian Masalam, Coach Tucker, Coach Izzo, to really be able to give a commitment and a donation to a school that I love. And so it's really an honor for me. You know, I know there's so many great Spartans out there that would love to be able to give back and do give back, and I'm able to give back, and I'm very proud to be able to do so. To this university. I would not be where I'm at without Michigan State, from the business school to the teachers, professors I've had here, to the students and friends I made, to my teammates, and of course the coaches, and specifically Coach Izzo. You know, he says I give too much credit. I don't know if I give him enough credit. You know, where I've been able to grow as a person, as a father, as an adult, as a leader, is all tied to Coach Izzo. And what I learned from him and Mateen Cleaves and my teammates then and the coaches. You know, I had such a great experience at Michigan State. I can't believe I even was able to be on the team with him. And that opportunity alone, where Coach Izzo not only gave me that opportunity, but then, as I said many times before, day one, I'm a walk-on that's not going to even sniff the court, treated me like family. Mateen Cleaves, Antonio Smith, these guys treat you like family. You know, you didn't have to do that. And I'll never forget the way they made you feel. I got to be here at an amazing time, 3 Final Fours, 3 Big Ten championships. You know, I got to ride the bench, but at the same time, I felt like I was part of it just like everybody else, because it was just an honor to be on that team and be on all those teams and be part of Michigan State University. You know, this gift and donation is not about Matt Ishbia. It's about Michigan State University. It's about Tom Izzo, Mateen Cleaves. These are the people that impacted my life. And, you know, what you realize in life is there's certain things in your life that happen that change the direction of your life forever. And that happened to me at Michigan State. from all the little things Coach Izzo did. I learned so much on how to, I thought I was working hard back then, and I saw how a real grown-up works at a different level. His work ethic, his drive, and then his compassion for people. I always remember, and that's something that I will never forget. And I do that with my 8,000 people in my company. Every single thing he says means something. Being nice, going out his way, asking, hey, how's your girlfriend doing? Or how's this with school? Or hey, you go, how's class? What's going on with that? Those little moments last a lifetime. And Coach Izzo's selflessness, humility, compassion, and at the same time, his drive to be great has never been left out of my mind since then. And so I'm so lucky and grateful. I built my company. So you guys know from, I got there in 2003 after, talking to Coach Izzo about being a coach. He taught me all about it. I learned, I got a chance to learn with Coach Garland and spending time with Coach Izzo and learning, hey, this might be a great opportunity. It was always my dream to be in the NBA. Obviously wasn't good enough. So the next thing was, how can I be a coach? And Coach Izzo took me under his wing, not only when I was playing, but as a fifth year coach, or first year coach, fifth year at Michigan State. And then at the same time, he said to me, hey, listen, maybe you can take some of these things that you learned at Michigan State and apply it to business. And Mike Vorkapich said the same thing to me, like, maybe you can do some of these great things from sports and apply it to business. And that's what I did. I went to a company where my father had originally started, and there's 12 people at UWM, and we run it Michigan State basketball style. We hold people accountable. We care about each other. We run a family, and we call people team members. We got captains, and now I got 7 of my old teammates working there, including Mateen Cleese, Adam Wolf, Charlie Bell, Antonio Smith, Connor George just joined, Chris Hill, part of the family. It's just a great, great environment. And so it all comes from Michigan State. So I'll say it very clearly so everyone knows, and I've said it a bunch of times, and Coach Izzo doesn't realize how serious I am. I would not be as successful as I am. I would not be the person I am without Tom Izzo and Michigan State. And I'm forever grateful for him and for this university. And I'm happy that I'm proud I can give back a little bit to the university and hopefully make an impact on people like Coach Izzo, Mateen Cleves, and the university made an impact on me. This gift, once again, it's not about me. It's very important that, Coach Izzo, who I believe is the legend here at Michigan State, has his name in many places as possible because he deserves it. He's so humble. He wouldn't even want that. He didn't even want it. Right? But the Tom Izzo football building, I'm proud to be able to, help push that because Coach Izzo, I was at the practice and part of the war drill when he brought football pads out and we put them on and helmets on and we actually played football on the basketball court, and now that court will be named Tom Izzo Court, which I'm proud of as well. And so it's not about putting Matt Ishbia's name places because it's not about me. It's about Michigan State. It's about Coach Izzo and about this great university and the great people that are up here and all the students. One thing about the gift that I was most important to me was first, Coach Izzo, what do you need at Michigan State basketball to make sure you're set? But second was, I want to make sure this gift touches every student athlete at Michigan State. And it's not only current, but past, present, and future. And the Spartan for Life program is all about, hey, I'm in business. Everyone has an opportunity. There's so many great Spartan owners of companies or people that are hiring, and we need to connect the student athletes. And so we're going to spend a lot of time really making sure that, I don't care if you're 55 years old, if you're a student athlete at Michigan State, we're going to make sure we connect you to wherever you are in the country. We have a great network of people, and we're going to make sure that everyone's connected in, and we're going to really spend a lot of time on that because Spartan for Life, once you become a Spartan, you're part of the family. And Coach Izzo and the team taught me that, and I'm proud to be able to give back and hopefully help make that a reality for, I don't care what sport you play, what you've done, you're a part of the Spartan family. The other thing that was important to me is, helping out Coach Tucker and the football team. The football team and Coach Izzo taught me, the football team and the basketball team bring in the revenue, and it's really a halo effect on all sports. And so helping Coach Tucker, I got a chance to meet him a couple of times, and his passion, his energy, it's contagious. You can't be in a room and excitement. I come from Coach Izzo, and so I know how he is. And I feel like Coach Tucker brings a lot of energy and passion. I'm so excited to see all the great things he's going to do. Mark D'Antonio obviously did an amazing job for so many years, and hopefully Coach Tucker can continue that and continue to take it to another level here as a Michigan State football team. And so I'm happy to be able to contribute in that way, in a positive way, to his football program. And I'm excited to have him as part of the team and family here at Michigan State. And then, briefly, I just want to hit on there's obviously, there'll be some money beyond that that's left over, if that's the right way of thinking of it, but there's excess money. That's the whole point is I want, Athletic Director Bill Beekman, who's a huge part of this. I finally, feel like there's a leader in the athletic department. He says, let's think about long-term, let's win long-term and do all the great things. And I'm proud that there's going to be millions and millions of dollars left for him and Coach Izzo and Trustee Masalam to be able to make an impact on all sports, whether it's the women's soccer team, the men's baseball team, the cross, whatever it is. We want to make sure we can make an impact everything we can, every student athlete here at Michigan State. And I'm hoping that the gift is large enough that we can make a contribution to football, basketball, the Spartan for life, but then all sports. And I'm proud of that opportunity to really feel like I've impacted all student athletes at Michigan State. Briefly, I want to make sure I reach out and thank, a couple people that made me who I am outside of Coach Izzo, who's I give so much credit to, and he deserves all the credit that I give him. But my mom and dad, who I love so much, they do so much for me. Them, Coach Izzo, my brother Justin. These are the people that helped me get to where I'm at. And once again, I'm not able to be where I'm at and able to contribute to Michigan State without the four of them. My father's an amazing businessman, but he's got a heart of gold. My mother's a teacher, so she's always wants me to give back to schools and make an impact. She was a teacher in Pontiac for 25 years. And my brother's doing fantastic in business, building his own business in such an amazing way. And I'm always looking up to him. And then beyond that, Mateen Cleaves. I mentioned, when you come in as a walk-on, and this guy's the Big Ten Player of the Year, and there's great players. I played with Charlie Bell and Morris Peterson, Jason Rich, all these guys. I can't talk about everyone, but Mateen Cleaves, third string point guard is what I was. He's the starting point guard. I'm playing against him, and I remember so distinctly how, I remember, a story that, I was getting after him and trying to guard him. And of course he kills me. He's much better than me, but I fouled him really hard one time. And I remember Coach Izzo blowing the whistle and getting after me. And I remember Mateen Cleaves, the star player, which most star players would say, yeah, get off me, get off me. He said, Coach, they're going to follow me in the games too. He's doing all right. Leave him alone. And I remember thinking he didn't need to do that. A leader is someone that leads when nobody else is requiring him to lead like that. He's doing the right thing. He treated me like a brother from the day I got there. And I came from a whole nother world, and I never will forget how Mateen made me feel and how he took care of me. I wouldn't have been on that team without Mateen Cleaves. I probably got kicked off the team without Mateen Cleaves protecting me and always taking care of me and doing right by me. And I'll never forget that, along with the rest of my teammates. And he deserves a lot of credit. He's one of the best and greatest Spartans of all time. Obviously, of course, Magic Johnson and Coach Izzo and Mateen Cleaves. And of course, there's other amazing ones, Steve Smith and Draymond Green. I don't want to keep naming because I'll miss some. But before I go, the last thing I really want to hit is, there's so many great people here that made it possible. President Stanley has been so great since joining Michigan State, reached out to me in different times in business. We've had a couple of great conversations. I'm looking forward to getting to know him even better for years to come. Athletic Director Beekman has been such a huge part of the university for years, and now he's in the leadership position as the athletic director. And I know he's thinking long-term. He's not thinking about gimmicks. He's thinking about doing the great things and to make sure Michigan State's great for the long term. And it's great to see that as an athletic director. And also Brian Masalam, Trustee Brian Masalam is like a brother to me. And this wouldn't have gotten done without Brian. Constantly talking to me about the opportunity, the impact that we can make, thinking things through, him and Athletic Director Beekman going through it. And he is a true Spartan in all aspects of that. And I'm proud to call him a great friend and a brother. And like I said, I would not be up here and able to put this deal together and make it all work without him and his friendship and loyalty for years. And so to close up, before I turn it over, I know there's some questions that, Matt Larson's going to run, is just, what does the future hold for Michigan State athletics? I'm hoping that this is just a jumping off point. I know in life, I'm ultra competitive and, I don't like being number two in anything. I like to always try to be the best. I learned that from coaches about competing and getting better every single day. But I'm hoping one day that I'm not the largest donor at Michigan State history. I'm hoping that some other people can donate more. And if not donate more, just it's the beginning of someone donating $500, $100, anything to show our love for this university. Michigan State and the whole world's gone through some tough times. And if people can give back on a little bit, small, big, whatever it may be, I'm hoping that my gift is a small point and a small launching off point for others, because, Spartans will. We talk about it. We're going to grow together. We've done great things. I've been a Spartan for as long as I can, remember, and I'm so proud to be here. And I'm excited about the future at Michigan State University. And I'm really just proud to be here and proud to be part of it. And Coach Izzo, I can get emotional talking about him and my parents and my brother, but with him and Mateen Cleaves, it just, I'm who I am because of these people. And I have 3 wonderful children. I have a wonderful life because of being part of Michigan State University. And I would not be as successful, I would not be as great of a person or a father without Coach Izzo and the impact he's made on my life. And so thank you, Coach, for everything in your life that you've done for me and so many others. And I'm glad I can give back in a small way and tell you how much I love you. And that love will never change. And I'm glad to be able to contribute in a small way to show my love for you in this university. And thank you guys for the time. Thank you all for being here with us. And, go green. Have a great day.
All right, at this time, we're going to prep for the Q&A portion. As I put in the chat for the media, please not only indicate that you have a question, but who it's for. It looks like we'll probably start with a batch of questions for Matt Ishbia. So Matt, if you can head back up to the space where the podium was, we'll get started there.
Sorry. Thanks, Matt. Sorry.
No problem, Matt. Our first question comes from Matt Charbonneau at the Detroit News.
Hey, Matt, I'm just curious, how long has this been something you've been thinking about doing? I mean, I know you're doing well outside of basketball, certainly in your business life, but at what point did you know you wanted to do this? How long have you been talking about it? How did you arrive at this amount and what you wanted to give?
Yeah, no, thanks, Matt. I appreciate the question. So I thought forever I wanted to give back to Michigan State. Ever since I knew, even before the success that we've been able to have in business, Coach Izzo and Michigan State made such an impact on my life. My brother went to Michigan State, all my cousins. And so it's a big part of my life. But I've been thinking about it for years now, for about 2, 3, 4 years, thinking about how can I really make an impact. I've talked to Coach Izzo. I talked to Brian Masalam about what we can make an impact on. And it just kind of evolved. And, with Athletic Director Beekman at the helm now, I really felt like this was the right time to be able to contribute with Coach Tucker and Coach Izzo. And I just trying to figure out what the right timing is within my personal life as well, and my opportunities, and at the same time with Michigan State. So I've been thinking about it for years, and I'm just, obviously the number has been able to grow over time as I've been able to achieve more success in business. And so I'm honored to be able to give a larger gift than maybe what I originally would have been able to give. And hopefully it makes an impact across all Michigan State athletics.
Real quick follow-up. If you would have ended up going down that road as a coach, where do you think you'd be right now? And you got any advice for Tom on how things are going right now?
So if I would have went down the coaching, I'd hope I'd be one of Coach Izzo's assistants. That would have been one of my dreams, to be next to him. And advice for Coach Izzo: Coach Izzo's the ultimate winner. There's no advice needed for him. He stays in. He got where he's got based on who he is and what he's done. My advice would be, don't change who you are, because Coach Izzo has been the best for 25 years, and you lose a game here, lose a game there. People start to think that you got to change. No, you got to just dig down deeper. And Coach Izzo has always done that. He's a winner, and I'm excited to see him continue to win as they'll make a run like they always do. And there's nothing but love for Coach Izzo and that team, and I love watching them play, and they're coming together as a great team. And I'm excited to watch them, continue to win and make the tournament and do big things in the tournament. Watch them make a run.
All right, we got a couple more questions for Matt at this time. We'll go next to Chris Solari.
Hey, Matt. I guess, you've mentioned quite a bit about Bill Beekman and the relationship you guys have built. I guess, when did it start? And what do you think that he has shown you in terms of the vision long term that makes this kind of maybe the start of something bigger for the university?
Yeah, Bill Beekman, ever since getting a chance to meet him, really when I had met him before he was the athletic director, but never really built a relationship until the last, until he became the athletic director and spent a little bit more time with him. But seeing his vision for long term, he was not thinking about how do I do something short term. He was not thinking short term. He's thinking long term. And when I talked about some gifts, and I wanted to make sure I took care of Coach Izzo, anything I could do to help him, and Bill immediately said, hey, I have a vision and an idea to help us take it to the next level. Once again, football and basketball create the revenue, and the halo effect of a successful Spartan football and basketball team will continue to help all academics, all student athletes, and all students in general at Michigan State. And so building that relationship with him and seeing how his thought was, and he's just a class act across the board, which is nice to see as an athletic director at Michigan State, and really proud to have become friends with him and looking forward to building a deeper relationship for years to come.
And how did when you told and approached Coach Izzo about putting his name on a football building, knowing his love for football, I guess, what was that moment like, and what was the response like?
First, Coach Izzo does, he didn't want to put his name on the building. And he wanted me to do it with him. And I told him my name's not to be anywhere besides it's the Tom Izzo football building. It's about Coach Izzo. And he's the grit. Like when I played for him, he's all about football. I don't think he's ever missed a football game. He made practice early, so we all get to go to the game and cheer the football team. We're going to, different restaurants and watching him if it was a road game. Coach Izzo loves football. He's a football guy at heart. He's about as tough as a person you'll ever meet. So I think, the football building and putting money towards that and putting Coach Izzo's name, the grit, the intensity that Coach Izzo brings, will hopefully, that naming of that building will hopefully tie to how he is and how our football program will be. Because, if Coach Izzo wasn't a basketball coach, I bet he'd be a heck of a football coach, because he's about as tough a guy as I know, not only physically, but mentally as well, but physically too. He's a tough guy, and I'm proud to be able to, help contribute to help that his name stay there forever, because his name should be all over this university, in my opinion, wherever it is, whether it's basketball, football, anywhere. This university is really tied to Tom Izzo and his success, and my success is tied to Coach Izzo as well.
We have two more questions for Matt. Our next one comes from Kyle Austin with M Live.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for doing this. I want to ask you a little bit more about that fifth year when you were on the program. And, Tom told us yesterday he thought you were kind of a player coach that year. How much were you really thinking at that point about, maybe coaching versus business? And how much did what you learned carry over even when you did go into business?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, so my fourth year when I was at Michigan State, I remember about halfway through the season, we had a bunch of freshmen, Alan Anderson, Kelvin Torbert, Chris Hill, and Coach Izzo, and I had a great relationship with those guys. I was the only senior on the team, and Coach Izzo brought me down and had me in my uniform. I sat next to him on the bench, and he would talk to me and coach me and show me how he's thinking about it. And I learned so much doing that I realized, gosh, this is unbelievable. If I could spend time with this guy, what I consider one of the best 5 or 10 people in the world at what he does, I'm going to get better. And so after that, my fifth year, I was asked if I could be the student assistant coach and spend time with them. So I was in all meetings. Coach Garland, Mike Garland's a huge impact on my life. Spent time with him and Coach Izzo and all the coaches at the time, and learned so much. And I learned the why behind how he did things. When you're playing, he's saying, get in the gym at 5 a.m. and do this and do that. And when I coached with him, I understood his mentality and the why behind it all, which was so valuable to me, where I was able to take that and say, okay, I understand why, one of the best people in the world at what he does. Can I apply that to business? And that's really what I went off to do. And so I learned so much. I almost went into the coaching world. I saw the hours that this man puts in, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. And I said, I want to do that too. Can I do that in business and apply it in a different way? And it's been a huge impact. I wrote a book about the impact that this man made on my business. We would not be as successful. We're the number 1 wholesale mortgage lender in the country, 6 consecutive years, the number 2 overall mortgage company in the country right now. And we wouldn't be anywhere near that. We run it like Michigan State basketball. And you guys are basketball fans. You want to come down there and kick a tour, you'll see we got everything. We call them team members. We got captains. We got everything. It's Michigan State basketball. Mateen Cleaves is one of my leadership coaches. So he coaches all my leaders. And, it's just really, Michigan State basketball is what helped me create my business. And Coach Izzo obviously created Michigan State basketball at that level.
And our final question from Matt comes from Audrey Dahlgren at Channel 6.
Hi, Matt. Great day for you and everybody else at Michigan State. Just wanted to touch upon why you felt the need to allocate a large amount of this sum to the football program. Obviously, a lot of people know the love that Izzo has for football, but what else about, you mentioned too, Tucker's passion, but what else about it made everybody, I guess, kind of want to allocate that much of the money to the football program?
Yeah, well, so it's really important. I think some of the benefits, like I said, the whole concept is I want to impact every student athlete possible, past, present, and future. And the Spartan for Life program does that. My first priority, as everyone will understand, was obviously Coach Izzo and what he needs. And we talked about those things, and he's in a great position. And we got some of the best facilities and best leader, in that respect. And then it was, how do we make sure we impact everybody else? And so with Coach Tucker and the impact he's starting to make already at Michigan State and will make for years to come, how can we help maybe put a little fuel on the fire to his success? Maybe help really propel it in a better way and help him from a recruiting perspective. But also, once we build this building, my understanding with Athletic Director Beekman is the old building that is going to be provided for all other sports. And so other sports will benefit from that. Everyone's getting an upgrade all the way through. And then there's millions of dollars left over after those couple of donations that we've talked about there that will help all athletics. And so whatever team it is, I trust in Coach Izzo, Brian Masalam, Bill Beekman, and any of them to make the decision of where it goes. But football obviously creates great revenue and halo effect for everybody to be successful. And I'm glad to hopefully, like I said, Mel Tucker is going to be successful, whether I'm part of it or not. Hopefully I put a little fuel on the fire, hopefully accelerate in a small way, and I'll be honored to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
All right, Matt, that's all the questions we have for you. At this point, I got a couple for Coach Mel Tucker. Coach, if you can come up to the camera.
All right.
Coach, our first question comes from Matt Wenzel at MLive.
Hey Mel, with regard to the new facility, how much is this something you've already been talking to recruits about in pitching, and how much does this become, a focal point of selling your program moving forward into the future?
Yeah, I know yesterday I was on the phone with several recruits, and we talked about it quite a bit. It shows a commitment to excellence, and obviously our relationship with Coach Izzo and the basketball program. And there's really no daylight between us. We stand shoulder to shoulder, and it's very powerful when you talk to recruits and their parents about that type of relationship that you have, and the commitment to excellence, and people like Matt who want to give back. And so it's certainly something that we've discussed.
Thanks, Mel.
Yep, you're welcome.
Our next question is also for Coach Tucker. It comes from Jeff Seidel at the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, thank you very much. I know you spent time at Alabama, Georgia. Where do you think that this puts this building and these facilities?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Jeff. Like I said in my prepared remarks, we'll have one of the best facilities in the country, and they'll be efficient, well thought out. It'll be, student athlete centric, and will help us in recruiting, and it will help the players that are currently on the squad. We'll be able to compete with the best.
And I don't know if I missed it somewhere in one of the press releases. When will it be completed? Is there a timeline right now?
I don't have a timeline, but I've got a shovel in the trunk of my car, so we may get started later on this afternoon.
Very cool. Thank you.
And our final question for Coach Tucker comes from Chris Solari at the Detroit Free Press.
Hi, Mel. I know that this was something that has been discussed for quite a while, and I know that it's in the early planning stages, but what type of things do you want to see in this building that are important? And I guess also looking back at what Mark did to lay the groundwork for some of this over the last few years, how much did you get on the handoff on it?
Yes, nutrition obviously is very important. Strength and conditioning, we'll have a boost there. Obviously, locker room areas, team meeting rooms, things of that nature. It's just going to enhance our entire facility. It's going to touch every aspect of what the student athlete experience is here.
All right, Coach Tucker, that's all the questions we have for you today. You can go have a seat. At this point, we're going to bring up Athletic Director Bill Beekman. All right, we have two questions for AD Beekman. Our first one comes from Chris Solari.
Hi, Bill. I guess first of all, I mean, obviously there's Matt's donation, which is covering 20 million of this. Do you have a ballpark estimate yet on how much you want to spend on this building? I know the Clemson building that you guys looked at was what, around 55 million? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think a little shy of that, but roughly, yeah. You know, go ahead. Yeah, I think that, yeah, obviously Matt's gift is extraordinary. You know, our plan is to continue to enhance the Scandalaris Center with the Tom Izzo football building. It will probably come in several segments so that we can do things as quickly as possible, show immediate impact for our student athletes. And so, yeah, I think as we build it section by section over the next handful of years, we'll, that'll sort itself out a little bit. But right now we're starting with our planning for phase one, and we'll go from there.
And I know that there's a lot of money. Matt, you even mentioned about allocating other money for other sports. You know, the logical question is, now that you made the decision to cut swimming, does any of that money help that, or does that go elsewhere?
Well, thanks, Chris. As Matt so eloquently said, part of his vision has been to affect all of our student athletes, past, present, and future. And so for our swimming student athletes that either are currently with us and decide to stay with us to finish their degrees, the Spartan for Life fund and program that we're starting will obviously be of great benefit to all student athletes, including our swimmers and divers. But fundamentally, our decision to end the program at the end of this season remains.
The next question for AD Beekman comes from Matt Charbonneau.
Bill, I know this, the plans for this expansion of the football building has been something you guys have been working on for a while. When did you get an idea, hey, looks like that we might actually be able to make this happen? Matt's really interested in helping out. When did you know this was starting to kind of become a reality, that you're going to be able to pull this off?
Well, we've always thought we could pull it off. It's at some level a question of timing. We've been working for about the last year on developing a facilities plan. A key component of that plan was continuing improvements to our football facilities. I would tell our staff, is it a 5-year plan? Is it a 10-year plan? Is it a 20-year plan? Well, that depends on our ability to raise the funds to make it work. So obviously, those components can go much more quickly as a result of Matt's extraordinary generosity. But the planning really has been in place for the better part of a year, maybe a little longer than that. It evolves. It's the plan we started with has evolved, and our thinking has evolved as we've worked with Coach Tucker since he's been here to think through what our highest priorities are and how we can implement those most quickly.
Yeah, and real quick, kind of off what Jeff said earlier to Mel, do you have a time frame of when you're shooting for this to be completed?
Well, before the press conference today, Coach and I were sharing that we both have shovels in our cars, so we're ready to start this afternoon. But no, in all seriousness, our planning has started, and so we'll work through that process and begin as quickly as we can. We obviously want to make improvement as efficiently and as quickly as we can, and so we don't have a date in mind at this point. But as we talk here, my team is back at the office, refining our plans, working with our consulting team and others in the university to begin to get this project off the ground.
All right, AD Beekman, that's all the questions we have for you. We're going to close today with 2 final questions for Coach Tom Izzo. Our first question for Coach Izzo comes from Matt Charbonneau.
Tom, I know it's emotional for you, and you don't really love seeing your name all over there, but you've been other places where you're playing on courts that I think we were at Maryland when they did it that night for Gary Williams. I mean, have you thought for a second what it's going to be like to see your name on this court that you've put so much time in and will continue to? Has that sunk in for you yet, that that's going to happen?
Well, Matt's right. Matt and I and Brian Masalam talked about it a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I fought some things, but I also am appreciative of that. I can't, it's been an overwhelming, since I talked to Matt the first time, then I talked to Brian a little bit more. I mean, I can just say this, the gift grew, the gift grew. And what I thought it was here, I thought, we could cover some things here, and then it went up and then it went up. And, I wanted to say, Brian, keep calling me. It keeps going up, and, but it was amazing. So it's been kind of surreal, and, there's no question we've been a tough stretch. So I was on the road for kind of 6 days, but in touch with Matt a little bit, touch with Brian a little more. And what I did is, I'm honored to have my name on a court. I'm honored to have my name on a building. I am like Matt, I've donated some money here. Even in this building, I don't know how anybody could pull a fast one on me. We wouldn't do this to you, Matt. I gave money here, and they put it in the media center. The people I really don't appreciate the most, so I don't know how in the hell they did that, but you guys got a nicer spot down there. But with Matt, I felt his sincere wanting to do this, and it made me feel so good. It just, like he's a little sketchy about it. I'm a little sketchy about having your name up in places, but someday it'll be an honor, and it'll be an honor for, just like it'll be an honor for my kids. Someday I won't be here. It'll be an honor for my kids, and it'll be an honor, for me, the football part of it. He said it right. He was here when we had, pads on and helmets on in practice. Don't worry, President Stanley. I know I'd get sued if I did that today, so I won't do that. But it was one of the more interesting and fun days I've had, and probably something we talk about at the reunions more than anything. So to be a part of that, it is no secret. I do love football too. I love basketball. And for him to take care of both, it's almost like he knew what I loved, and he brought him up. And I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm excited. And I think for my family and for my kids, it's really going to mean something too.
So with your name on a football building, you'd be able to slide in there to a few, couple meetings, maybe apply for an assistant job if Mel's got.
I've been so lucky here. I came here with Nick Saban and of course all the coaches and Bobby and Coach Smith, and then of course Coach D and now Coach Tuck. They've all let me. I have pretty good reign in there. If I get to go on trips, he's invited me on trips. I get to go to bowl games. I've been treated like a king by our football, and I think football is still the one sport that isn't as pampered as sometimes our sport is and others. Back in Matt's day, ours wasn't. It's gotten a little bit that way, but that's part of the evolution of the world, and we'll try to still keep it the way it was and the way it should be. But football, I just love. I went over to a practice when we started this season. I just love seeing that many people, and that's what made it so interesting about Matt. When I saw, I say, boy, I got 14 people to take care of. Wow, Mel's got 100 and some people to take care of. And then I took it to another level. I went to Matt's. He's got 8,000 people to take care of. And how do you do this? And that was really cool for me. And I'm really proud of Mateen too, is he does have these teams. I'm walking through his thing and all these people are huddled up. I thought they were calling a play or something. I said, what the hell's that over there? Oh, that's that team. They're branching out to meet with these people. The captain gets together. He tells the players disperse, and they kind of hit the other people. It was really cool and interesting for me. And if he wants to give me some credit for that, I don't think I deserve it. But you know what? We all are part of the same family. And, Mel came over to me when Matt was talking. He said, I think he used the word family 20 times in a complimentary, excited way. Like that is still what we feel about this place. And when you lose a couple games in a row and the family rises up and texts and calls and texts and calls. That makes the job in 20-hour, 15-hour days so worth it.
And we'll close with one final question from Chris Solari.
Well, first of all, I'm hoping you have some pictures and good stories about Matt Ishbia in a war drill.
Don't worry about Matt. He can take care of himself, as he already told you about Mateen. And he was a competitive guy back then. You know, he had played a little AU ball with Jason Richardson. And like I said, probably if his jerk for a coach would have given him a little more chance, he'd have probably played a few more minutes too. But go on.
The bigger question here is, obviously this is kind of one of those things where it's such a big gift, but it's a constant thing. Like everybody else talks about with recruiting, it's fundraising is also a perpetual thing. How do you expect this to be a springboard, maybe to get others on board to keep the money going, especially right now with the athletic department in so much need?
Yeah, and let's face it, all universities, all athletic departments are in need. And you know what I said to Matt, just I think when Mel was talking, I just said, great players, as I say, play great, but elite players make others play great. And he has made an elite statement, and I think knowing him, his goal will be to drag more people with him and bring more people in. And that'll be our goal. And you always got a selling point, here's a guy that had a dream, and I think my favorite topic is talking about living my own dream. I mean, if you would have saw Mariucci and I in our little trailer back in Marquette, Michigan, sitting there diagramming where we're going to be and what we're going to do. And everybody had pictures on the wall, and him and I had chalkboards on the wall, and we were going to figure out how we were going to get where we got. Well, for us too, coming from this little tiny town and getting where we did, it's a dream come true. And I have a best friend that I talk to all the time about it. For me to be able to impact in a little way somebody else living his dream, whether it's a pro player and sitting in the green room with him, whether it's a businessman that has hit heights of that few are going to reach, whether it be, just the regular kid getting a teaching job. If I can have an impact, my student secretary getting a job, those are what I think we live for. And I say all the time, that really is my job. I know it's to win games. It's to win games. And if you don't win games, you don't have an opportunity to do these things. But besides winning games, it's impacting people's lives. And we're talking 17 to 22-year-olds, and if that impacted his life a little bit and taking him to 15, 20 years later to do what he did, God, me and him did a great job. And yet I think what he did is I think the difference that he gave credit to it, but he brought some other people around that knew how and what it took to be a champion. And I said it in my press release. He won a national championship as a player. Now he's winning a national. I'm not going to say he's won it yet because he's more driven. If he's second in something, he wants to be first. If he's first in something, he wants to win by a wider margin. And that is the difficult thing that I'll talk to him about, because when you have great success and you win it all, you don't want to maintain where you are. You want to still grow where you are. And sometimes, people don't think that same way. Are his employees going to think different? Just like are my players going to think different? They ask me, are you ever going to be happy? I say, yeah, when I'm dead. That's how I'm going to be happy. That's going to be a weird thing, but I'm going to be happy then. Until then, I hope and I never satisfied. Shouldn't say never happy. I want to be happy, but never satisfied. And that's what I think when I watch him and what he's done. There's a competitive side of him. Him and I are similar height, and yet the competitive side in both of us, I think, is off the charts. And he throws Mateen in there. I mean, let's face it. He says, he wouldn't be here without me. I wouldn't be here without Mateen. And that's kind of the way the world works. People help people. So if Matt's gift can help other people, and we've had some great gifts to this university, he just took it to another level, and it gives somebody a chance to to feel like during these tough times, somebody rose up. As Spartans, maybe we can all rise up. It might influence me to give a little more, not to your level, but a little more.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate your time. I'd like to
Thank you
thank
all.
all the, that's going to wrap us up today. I'd like to thank all the media for sticking with us. I know we went a little bit over, but I appreciate you sticking around for the end. Thank you to everyone watching on the live stream as well. Appreciate your support of Spartan Athletics. That will wrap us up here today. Thank you.